Now, should you be watching this video on the day of release, then today, exactly 11 years ago, I created this exact YouTube channel. And I thought, why not celebrate this by taking a look at a hopefully nice aircraft model? So I decided to go for a scale 200 aircraft model for today's review. Something I can do thanks to my partner here on the channel, Jumbolino Model, who have models like this and many others for reasonable prices with great service because they are collectors themselves. So I can highly recommend them to you. Find a link to them in the video description below. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where today we'll take a closer look at a Boeing 777-200 of Boeing. And it's not just a Boeing aircraft, it is of Boeing, the company. So at the front of the box we have a nice rendition of the aircraft model, and on top of that we have the Demonstrator branding. That we also find on the back side of the box, where we then also have more renditions of the aircraft, including a top-down view on it, quite nice. And of course we also have the specifications on the aircraft. So overall a fairly nice box design, which basically is a sleeve around a white box. So once we have removed the sleeve from the white box, we can then open it up, and that of course reveals us the aircraft model inside. Now, certainly not unusual for a scale 200 aircraft model, but still worth mentioning, is the fact that this aircraft model does come with a stand. This stand is made out of metal. Now, print would certainly have been quite nice here, but in this case, JC Wings kept it clean, so no prints. But we do have the typical little cushion here on top of the stand, which protects your model from getting any scratches. Now, furthermore, you get these kind of tools, and then you get some plates, and you actually get the landing gear separately. That's because you can display the model with or without landing gear, but we will get into that in this video. And here she is, the Boeing 777-200 in the Demonstrator livery of Boeing. As far as I could make out, this is a 200, not an LR, not an ER, and the airframe used to belong to Air China once upon a time. Now, the Demonstrator Program of Boeing is basically a test bed trying to figure out and invent, I guess, new technologies that can be applied on aircraft with the main purpose of making aviation more sustainable. Now, the model itself, made from JC Wings in scale 200, we will take a look at to see what they have come up with, because it is not every day that we get these kind of test bed aircraft in any scale, really. Harper did a A320 in scale 500 of many years ago from the German DLR, but let's see what JC Wings has come up with. On the vertical stabilizer, we have the color scheme of the aircraft and a little bit of printed detailing here. I'm not quite sure what that is about, but hey, it looks nice. Also on the horizontal stabilizer, we have some printed detailing. Then on the fuselage, of course, we have more of the color scheme, and of course then the logo or branding of the Demonstrator Program, with then the slogan "Sustainability and Innovation for the Future." We have plenty of detailing in the cabin door, for example, or around the cabin door, really, and we also find the full registration code of the aircraft. Notice also the really nice detailing around the horizontal stabilizer with the markings for the angle of attack, looking quite nice. And also at the very tail of the aircraft, we have in and around the APU exhaust a nice combination of physical detailing and printed detailing. Now, if we then move to the front of the aircraft, we can see across the fuselage the Boeing branding. We, above that, of course, have the writing of Demonstrator. Also here again, around cabin doors, we have quite a lovely amount of detailing, but also on the airframe itself with plenty of small hatches, sensors, static ports. You name it, it is there. So that looks really quite lovely. We even find a few marks in two of the cabin windows. Not sure what that is about. Probably some deactivated windows or something else. If you know more about the aircraft, you're always welcome to chip in the comment section down below and let us know. But we find plenty more printed details also around the cockpit section, where we have, for example, the petri tubes, but also many other small hatches or sensors printed on here, alongside, of course, the cockpit windows with the nice metallic edge around that. We have the window wipers printed on as well, of course, and we have some lovely detailing around the radome. So overall, really nice looking aircraft so far. Now, the engines have been kept in all white, but do have the silver leading edge printed on. We find various safety markings and hatches, and of course also the Demonstrator Program branding again. So when it comes to printed details, these engines, these Pratt & Whitney engines actually look really, really lovely. But also the physical detailing here that JC Wings has managed to pull off is, I think, quite convincing. This looks really, really lovely in my opinion. And from the engines, we can move on to the wings. Now, looking at them from the top side, we can see the different flaps, slats, and spoilers have been carved out quite nicely. We have the markings as to where to walk on the wing, and also the underside of the wings offers a fair amount of physical detailing. My highlight on the wings, however, is just the fact that we have the landing lights printed on. Always great.
Oh my god, look at all these lovely models. Oh, I'm sorry that I interrupted your review, but we'll get back to that model in just a second. But just check out all these lovely models. And perhaps you're like me and you just don't know which one you should add next to your collection, because here you're truly spoiled for choice with all the scales and all the die-cast manufacturers that you can find at the Jumbolino Model Store. So do check them out. You can find a link to them in the video description below.
Now, the landing gear is made entirely out of metal, except of course for the wheels, they are made out of plastic. The main landing gear, I think, looks really lovely. It can be moved around a little bit, so you can place it in the right position for landing or in flight or whatever you want to do. The same thing goes for the front landing gear, which you can move around as well, and we have some printed details. Now, as mentioned earlier in the video, these parts actually come separate, and that's because you can display the aircraft model with or without landing gear. This is something we have seen on plenty of aircraft over the years. Personally, yeah, I kind of get the idea that you can do that, but honestly speaking, how many times would you be switching this around? I think most collectors would place the aircraft model on a stand, either with or without the landing gear, and then most likely leave it at that. And it has one major drawback, because yes, the wheels are rolling, but in my experience, and also in this case, with any removable landing gear, the feature of rolling wheels basically does not work anymore. Now, on the belly of the aircraft, we find a plethora of both physical and printed detailing, starting off with the Demonstrator Program branding that we can find here once again. Yes, there is also a hole in the fuselage, but of course we have a stand, so it makes sense. We then also have the physical beacon, something I really love on these aircraft models. And of course, we also have a bunch of antennas. Now, speaking antennas, these kind of details, including of course also printed detailing, we then also find on top of the fuselage. So let's also have a look at the top of the fuselage, where we then can see these lovely details in form of beacon light. We have physical antennas. We even have some printed antennas. We also find a set dome on top of the fuselage. So yeah, a lovely amount of detailing across the fuselage, both on top and on the belly of the aircraft. And then last but certainly not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 777-200 of the Boeing Corporation in the Demonstrator livery from JC Wings in scale 1 to 200. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Now, I cannot deny that I think we have a quite lovely aircraft in front of us here. I think the physical detailing of JC Wings is outstanding on this aircraft model. I really do like their 777 mold. And yeah, just an overall execution of the physical detailing, I think they have done a great job. Also, the printed detailing is on a very high level. I couldn't really find print lines or smudges. Edges seem to be quite clean overall. So a nice execution of the Demonstrator livery. And of course, we have so many lovely printed details that belong to the aircraft type itself and have nothing to do with the livery as such. So yeah, that is really, really nice. Now, if I had to point my finger on maybe one thing that I'm at least questioning a little bit, it is actually the feature of being able to remove the landing gear. Now, I have models myself that do just that, and in reality, I have placed these models on a stand and left them there. I have never really used this feature whatsoever, so I kind of question a little bit the actual need for it. I think most collectors would either just have a model with landing gear or without. Of course, yes, it is nice that you have the option of putting that on a stand the way you like it. You could also just do half of the landing gear extracted and the other half not. You can do whatever you want. That's not the point. The point is, I think it is a feature that perhaps isn't really used in real life. And I mean, it is certainly an extra step in production, which would, of course, increase the price. And models these days are not getting cheaper. The other thing is, of course, that it really does interfere with the feature of rolling wheels. Now, again, personally, I would never use the feature of rolling wheels. This is an aircraft model for display, not to toy around. At least that's how I see it. But if you were to use the rolling wheel feature, that is basically impossible because the landing gear is removable. So yeah, kind of two thoughts that are contradicting each other here on the model, I think. But what do you think? I would genuinely be interested in your point here, what you think about this. So let me know in the comment section down below. But apart from me playing devil's advocate, I really do genuinely think we have a really lovely aircraft model in front of me, don't get me wrong. And certainly it is always nice to get an aircraft with a little bit of an interesting backstory, the Demonstrator Program, a testbed aircraft. It's a little bit different than the usual aircraft we otherwise get featured as scale models. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode of Review. After 11 years, the series is still going strong, mainly thanks to you guys who keep watching these videos and are interacting in the comments down below, leaving your thoughts and points on things. I really do appreciate that, and it is a joy to see the community coming together still after so many years. So keep on doing that. I really do appreciate it. Of course, if you like this type of content, feel free to leave a like. If you are new around here, you're always welcome to hit subscribe. And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.